We know that both of them despise the Indiana Fever, and we know that one of them essentially just attacked a player on the Indiana Fever. I don't know if there's a better way of describing it than attacked. I'm not going to use the word assaulted, even though, yes, if this was on the street, it would be assault. But I'm going to use the word attacked. And then they go and post this. This, I don't even know the full context of this, but this makes it feel like they are joking about what happened. Maybe there's more context to this. That's an in-joke in a team.
The post went live, and the world stopped. Diana Taurasi stared at her phone in absolute disbelief. Her own organization, the legendary Phoenix Mercury, had just committed the ultimate act of cowardice. While the entire league was still reeling from a brutal physical attack on Caitlin Clark, the Mercury social media team decided to turn that violence into a joke. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a total betrayal of everything the veteran leader stood for. Taurasi didn't just disagree with the move. She reportedly lost her mind over the lack of class being displayed by her own front office.
Attacking a player on your opposing team. Like, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Like, that's all I can say. It's the only word I can use. This is just completely embarrassing by the Phoenix Mercury. And this came up, what, like, not even an hour ago? Mocking someone who paid John Moore for an official account too. Like, that's what this seems to be. It'll be probably deleted. By the time this video comes up, this is probably going to be deleted.
The incident that started it all was enough to spark a firestorm across the basketball world. We aren't talking about a simple basketball play or a hard screen here. This was a targeted, aggressive move that left fans and analysts completely stunned. Alyssa Thomas, a veteran known for her extremely physical style, went far beyond the whistle this time as Caitlin Clark hit the floor. The intensity shifted from a competitive game to something much more sinister. It looked like an attack, plain and simple, and the footage shows Thomas with her hands on Clark's neck and groin area while she was down.
Like, that's what this seems to be. It'll be probably deleted. By the time this video comes up, this is probably going to be deleted. This is an official page that is essentially mocking another player. And we can be very real here. They are essentially mocking another player getting attacked by one of your team's players. This is what they tweet by back to their ways. They've no W0 leadership in class. This is cool, right? When Sophie points that finger, someone did not get hurt. This is CC when Thomas has her hand on her neck and her groin.
The footage of the play is genuinely hard to watch for anyone who respects the game. While the ball was already long gone, Alyssa Thomas seemed to deliberately fall onto the rookie sensation. It wasn't just a collision. It was a sustained effort to make sure Clark felt the weight and the aggression. Even teammates like Lexi Hull were trying to intervene, sensing that things had crossed a major line, but Thomas kept going, making it clear that this wasn't about basketball anymore. It was a message, and it was a message that the rest of the league was watching with growing frustration and anger.
Oh yes, she's wearing 24, so clearly it's supposed to be about Diana. But, like, they know what this is a picture of. They know what this is a cartoon picture of. Like, apparently the person who drew the cartoon picture of Diana Bonner and Sophie Cunningham, Diana Bonner blocked them on all social media. Like, so she clearly got pissed off at that situation. And I'm going to be honest, it's one of those things where it's very, very clear that this, as an organization, that they are trying to...
But as bad as the physical attack was, what happened next was arguably worse. The Phoenix Mercury organization, instead of distancing themselves from the controversy or issuing a professional statement, did the unthinkable. They posted a graphic that many interpreted as a direct mockery of Caitlin Clark being on the ground. The social media team thought they were being clever or edgy by leaning into the villain arc, but it backfired instantly. It felt like they were celebrating the fact that their player had just physically dominated a rookie in a way that bordered on unsportsmanlike conduct.
Looking at the responses here, posting a graphic of a player on the ground after tonight's assault is actually insane. It's from tonight's game with her on the ground. I'm being very real. Like, this is at best tone deaf. This is tone deaf. And yes, you might be saying, oh, Diana was on the ground. But yeah, we all know the only talking point of this was what happened when another player was on the ground. Absolutely. This is at best tone deaf. Tone deaf. That is the only way I can describe this, is that it is tone.
Diana Taurasi has seen a lot in her legendary career, but minutes, this was a new low even for her. As the face of the franchise, she understands that the Valley of the Sun represents excellence and grit, not cheap shots and social media trolling. Sources indicate she was furious that the team's public image was being dragged through the mud by a tone-deaf digital strategy. For a player who has spent decades building a legacy of being a fierce but respected competitor, seeing her team act like cowards behind a keyboard was the breaking point. She knows that this kind of behavior tarnishes the entire organization.
Is at best tone deaf. Tone deaf. That is the only way I can describe this, is that it is tone fucking deaf. Like, you could have just posted a picture of Diana on the ground and not a. And by the way, let's not forget Diana Bonner. I don't know how, if she's guilty or not, but like, I don't know if it's intentional, but she did throw a knee to Caitlin's head, as you can see from this image right here. Diana did throw a knee to Caitlin's head. Again, I think as much as anything, Diana, as you can see here.
The post in question featured a cartoon version of Diana Bonner on the ground, which, at first glance, seemed like an inside joke, but the timing couldn't have been more disastrous. Everyone knew that the only talking point from that night was Caitlin Clark being attacked and left on the hardwood. By posting a player in a similar position, the Mercury were essentially winking at the haters. It was a cowardly move because they didn't have the guts to say what they really felt, so they hid behind a graphic. It was the definition of an organization losing its way and its moral compass in the heat of the moment.
I'm watching this whole thing and it's genuinely, like, why do teams, why do players, why does the league think all of this shit is okay? Like, why do they think all of this shit is okay? Why do they think, like, one of your players has just committed something that is going to tarnish your team's reputation for years to come? Like, you don't believe that? Like, I'm not saying Kennedy Carter was out of the league for the hip check.
What makes this even more insane is that Diana Bonner herself reportedly wanted no part of the drama. Word on the street is that the person who drew the cartoon was actually blocked by Bonner on social media before the post even went up. If your own players are distancing themselves from your promotional material, you know you've messed up on a monumental scale. Bonner was trying to move on from the physical game, but her own team decided to drag her back into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. It was a complete lack of leadership, from the top down, in the Phoenix front office.
For years to come. Like, you don't believe that? Like, I'm not saying Kennedy Carter was out of the league for the hip check. I'm saying it didn't help. I'm saying it did not help. JC Sheldon will always be remembered for Captain Insano and Caitlin Clark. Dejanay Carrington's reputation has been dragged through the fucking mud. And I'm saying, oh, you know, it's helpful, this and that. But it's like, it is, as long as you're good at basketball. It's like, I think people are going to be shocked at how low Dejanay Carrington's contract next year is going to be. How small her contract.
The fallout from this tone-deaf response has been swift and brutal. Fans are calling out the Mercury for having zero class and even less leadership. When you have veterans like Thomas and Bonner on the roster, you expect them to lead by example, not be protected by a social media team that acts like a group of internet trolls. The fact that an official account would mock another player getting attacked is a stain that won't wash off easily. It's embarrassing for the WNBA, and it's embarrassing for every player who has worked hard to bring positive attention to the league this season. That we have to be very real about what is happening here. The Phoenix Mercury done goofed in the worst way possible. The GM and the social media director have essentially handed a weapon to everyone who wants to criticize the league. By validating the physical targeting of Caitlin Clark, they are signaling that this kind of behavior is not only acceptable, but celebrated. It's a dangerous precedent to set, especially when you consider how much Clark has done to bring new eyes and revenue to the sport. Instead of protecting the product, the Mercury decided to join the circus. Diana Taurasi's frustration likely stems from the fact that this isn't the first time the Mercury's digital team has been accused of being out of touch. They have a history of posting things that feel tone-deaf to the current climate of the league, but this time it felt personal. It felt like they were attacking the very future of the WNBA. Taurasi knows that you can be a villain on the court without being a coward off of it. There is a way to play hard and talk trash without stooping to the level of mocking a physical altercation that could have resulted in a serious injury for a fellow pro. Let's look closer at the players involved because their reputations are being dragged through the mud right now. Alyssa Thomas has always been a tough player, but there is a fine line between being a dog and being a bully. When you are putting your hands on someone's neck, you aren't playing basketball anymore. You are venting frustration because a rookie is outplaying you or taking your spotlight. The Mercury should be holding their players to a higher standard, but instead they chose to hide behind a screen and post memes. It is the height of organizational cowardice, and then there is the degenerate label that is starting to stick to some of these players. The controversy is growing, and reputations like Jackie Sheldon's are being tarnished because of the way they treat Caitlin Clark. When you combine that with the Mercury's mocking posts, you get a toxic environment that is bad for business. People are already speculating that the contracts for these enforcers are going to plummet next year. Why would a team want to pay top dollar for a player who brings this much negative PR? The Mercury are playing a very risky game with their own assets. The most frustrating part of this entire saga is how unnecessary it all was. The Phoenix Mercury could have just posted photos of the game and turned off the comments if they wanted to avoid the heat. That would have been the professional thing to do. Instead, they went out of their way to be provocative. They wanted the engagement. They wanted the clicks, and they didn't care who they stepped on to get them. It shows a total lack of respect for the Indiana Fever and for the game itself. It's no wonder Taurasi is reportedly fed up with the way the team is being managed right now. Every time a situation like this happens, it takes away from the actual talent on the court. We should be talking about the incredible plays and the growth of the game, but instead, we are stuck talking about whether or not a social media admin is a coward. The Mercury had a chance to show they are a class act organization that can handle a loss with dignity. Instead, they chose to act like children. It's a slap in the face to the veterans who built this league and to the fans who are tired of the constant drama surrounding the way veterans treat the new rookie class of stars. The cowardly label fits perfectly because they eventually started deleting the evidence. If you're going to be a villain, then stand by your words. But as soon as the backlash became too much to handle, the Mercury started backpedaling. That is the definition of having zero backbone. You can't mock a player and then act like you're the victim when people call you out for it. It makes the entire organization look weak and disorganized. Taurasi has spent her whole career being bold and unapologetic. So, seeing her team shrink under pressure must be absolutely infuriating for her. There is a growing sense of us versus them in the WNBA, and the Mercury just threw gasoline on the fire. By seemingly taking a side against Caitlin Clark in such a petty way, they have alienated a massive portion of the fan base. They think they are being loyal to their players, but true loyalty involves holding your teammates accountable when they cross the line. You don't help Alyssa Thomas by making light of her aggressive behavior. You only make the target on her back even bigger. The organization failed her just as much as they failed the fans in the league this week. Think about the impact this has on the younger players in the locker room. When they see the front office and the social media team acting this way, it tells them that sportsmanship doesn't matter. It tells them that, as long as you can get a few likes on a tweet, you can ignore the values of the game. This is how a negative culture starts to form within a team. If Taurasi is indeed losing it behind the scenes, it's because she knows that, once you lose that culture of respect, it is almost impossible to get it back. The damage to the Mercury brand is potentially massive and long-lasting. There is a very real possibility that we are seeing the end of an era for some of these high-profile veterans. If teams perceive you as a liability who brings tone-deaf drama to the organization, your value drops instantly. The Mercury are essentially sabotaging their own assets by allowing this kind of narrative to dominate the conversation. It's a masterclass in how not to run a professional sports franchise in the age of social media and high-speed information. They are trading their long-term reputation for short-term engagement, and it is a losing trade every single time that we also have to talk about the physical toll this is taking on Caitlin Clark. She is being targeted every single night, and the response from some corners has been lukewarm at best, but when an opposing team's official account joins in on the attack, it reaches a new level of toxicity. It's one thing for fans to talk trash on Twitter. It's another thing entirely for a multi-million-dollar organization to participate in the bullying. The Mercury should be ashamed of themselves for how they handled this, and Taurasi is right to be disgusted by the total lack of professionalism. The Mercury's social media person done goofed so hard that it overshadowed the entire game. No one remembers the score or the stats. They only remember the tone-deaf post and the attack on the floor. This is a failure of leadership at the highest levels. If you can't control your digital presence, how can you expect to control your locker room? The chaos in Phoenix is becoming a distraction that the team simply cannot afford. They are lucky to have a veteran like Taurasi who actually understands the weight of these actions, even if the people in the office clearly do not. As the video of the incident continues to circulate, the pressure on the Mercury to make a real apology is growing. But so far, it's been nothing but silence or deleted posts. That silence is deafening. It tells you everything you need to know about where this organization stands right now. They are hoping the news cycle moves on, but the internet never forgets a slight like this. The cowardly tag is going to follow them for a long time, and every time Caitlin Clark plays against them, this incident will be brought up again. They have turned a one-night controversy into a permanent stain. This whole situation is just genuinely frustrating for anyone who loves the WNBA. We are in a golden era for the sport, and we should be celebrating that growth. Instead, we are dealing with tone-deaf social media teams and physical attacks that look more like a street fight than a professional basketball game. The Mercury had an opportunity to be the bigger people and lead with class, but they chose the low road. They chose to be cowards instead of competitors. It's a sad day for the league and a wake-up call for every organization that thinks they can play by their own rules. At the end of the day, the Phoenix Mercury need to look in the mirror and decide what kind of organization they want to be. Do they want to be known for their championships and legends like Diana Taurasi, or do they want to be remembered for tone-deaf posts and cowardly responses to violence on the court? The fans have made their voices heard, and the message is clear: enough is enough. If you can't respect the game and the players who are helping it grow, then you don't deserve to be part of its future. It's time for some real accountability before their legacy is lost forever.